Okay, so there's a big issue out there for me that creates a lot of time.
So do you want to activate it and add momentum to it and practice the vibration of it?
So it seems
Do you?
Leave me alone. Be nice, Steve Jobs. So it seems to me that the cycle of life is one in which, whether it's in the animal kingdom, or whether it's in the vegetable kingdom, whether it's in the human kingdom, or even the mineral kingdom, that the way it works is that this generation's seed provides life to the next generation's seed, to the next generation, and the next. And it's like the seed from this plant gives life to the next plant, gives life, and so on. And it's the same.
We love you so much. Yeah.
Okay. And in humans as well.
Yeah.
But what has happened, there's been just alarmingly drastic shifts in the last generation or two. The number of children born into autism, for example, has gone from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 100 in 30 years.
They are coming forth to demand their freedom to be. So they're saying, I'm going to be so different, you are not going to pound this round peg into a square hole.
Okay. The number, beautiful. The amount of obesity has increased in our culture, like just dramatically. I don't think for me it's because we've become a nation of gluttons. What has happened, and I want to ask this question of Abraham, of you, is that we've gotten into this where we're starting to genetically modify foods.
Well, you're looking for love in all the wrong places. You're looking for food that tastes good rather than that feels good. You're not letting it guide you from your perspective of alignment. You're just looking for a way to fill the void. Don't you notice that when you are at your orneriest or your most dysfunctional, that you're looking for something to eat?
But what has happened is that we've genetically modified this food so that the next generation of the seed for the next generation doesn't come from the wheat or it doesn't come from the corn. It comes from Monsanto. It comes from these big companies that have patents on our food, and we can't even put it in the ground without getting permission from big companies.
We don't disagree with you. But what if those like you who are now aware of that are launching some rockets of desire?
I am, big
and
time.
What if, instead of having the conversation of what's wrong with the food, you're having conversations about what you want the results to be?
I'm doing
What
that.
if you become a light for the vibration of well-being? What if you, with Source at your back, with the leverage that creates worlds, what if you shine a spotlight on that? What if that is the dominant vibration? In the same way that when you were at that gravesite that day, and Source was flowing through you, and even though you had gone there to do something else to that grave that you ended up not doing,
right?
But because the vibration of Source was dominant, why not be the human form that focuses on the solution rather than the problem? And that is the only thing that has gone a little haywire with humans. You spend too much time in step one talking about what you don't want instead of articulating what you do want. So your frequencies are more about what you don't want.
Don't we have to be aware of what we don't want? I mean, I don't want to have my family eating genetically modified foods.
But listen, just in this conversation, to the amount of time you've spent on that subject as compared to what you could be doing about it.
I know I'm doing something about it.
When you think about how they're not trucking in any food from other planets, that the seeds are all here. Wouldn't it be nice if, in the modification of food, engineered food, there was a discovery of something that would be beneficial? And are you willing to accept that some of that has taken place? Some of that has taken place. But you personally prevent yourself from experiencing the benefit of any of that because you're pushing so hard. And really what it comes down to, and everyone is doing it to a certain extent, it's that, we were talking about it earlier, the difference between living in a world where you're on lower flying discs and you just sort of duking it out with each other deciding which pile is the worst pile and which pile is a little bit better pile, and no one really being in tune with source. You're just all talking about which pile is worse than which pile, as compared to someone who sets all of that aside, who has the benefit of the desire that's born from that, who now turns to your vortex, gets distracted from all of the issues that prevent you from resonance with well-being, and finds something like a little baby to resonate with. And for the time that you're looking at that baby, you are in sync with all of the good things that you put into the vortex. What the misunderstanding that humans have is that they have to find the problem and then they have to wrestle it to the ground and kill it. And we want you to understand that there is no bottom to that. In other words, you're adding a vibrational momentum, and you can't win in that way. Meanwhile, those who aren't paying any attention to that will find a better way. It's always the way. Masses just gnarl around with each other and fuss and fight and fume, while a Steve Jobs or a Bill Gates finds a solution that revolutionizes the technology world. Everybody had the ability to do it. They just had to focus upon what they wanted instead of get bogged down in the muck and mire of what is. You said it. You have to believe it before you see it.
It's a good book title.
It's the best book title ever. Best book title ever. It says everything. You have to find a way of believing what you want. Because if you don't believe what you want cannot come.
Well, what I have done is connected with the people at public television, where I've done many specials, and agreed to begin to inform the entire planet, beginning with America and Canada, about...
We think that's wonderful. We just ask one thing. Get on your high-flying disc and then tell them what you know.
Well, the high-flying disc is that...
Get the vibration of source going with you. Talk about what can be, not about what can't be. Talk about where you're going, not about where you are. Talk about what's possible, not about the mess you're in. Get on the high-flying disc and let source speak the words through you. You do it all the time. Just not when you talk about that.
Because that pisses me off so much. And I know that being in that state of being upset is, I've never really quite thought of it that way. But
well, movie makers have discovered that more people go to the ornery movies, the dysfunctional movies, than the high-flying disc movies. So if their goal is numbers and ratings, then they make a movie that appeals to where most people are. Yeah. That's not who you are. You got to make a movie that appeals to God. We pulled out all the stops for that one.
It just for a second, can't you acknowledge that it's, that companies owning seeds?
The law of attraction is broken?
Pardon?
You want us to acknowledge that law of attraction is broken when it isn't? We'll acknowledge that there's a momentum going, and we'll acknowledge that the rage of the world and the more people that are focused upon it is adding to that momentum. And we will also acknowledge that if enough know what they don't want, that more will know what they do want, and there will be a tipping point. We just don't think you should suffer so long before the tipping point.
Well, I think what you just said will help the tipping point, where we can indeed begin to focus on how we want our food supply to be, how healthy we want our children to be.
Oh, when was the last time that you devoured some ripe piece of fruit right off the tree? Did you have to tell yourself? Did you have to read the label? Oh, this tastes so good. I wonder how they did that. Doesn't everything about you let you know the perfection of it?
I live on Maui, and all of the fruits there are, they don't even have seeds in them anymore. The papayas have all been genetically modified. So you open it up, and you used to think, I'll take these seeds and I'll put it in the ground, and I'll grow some papayas. You're not allowed to do that anymore. You have to go to Monsanto to do that. And you eat this piece of...
we have so much more to say to you.
I don't want to open a watermelon that doesn't have any seeds in it because it's been genetically modified. I don't want to
Have all of them been genetically modified?
99% on Maui have, yeah. I mean,
Then pick the one that hasn't.
yeah.
And revel in it. And say, this feels best to me. This is what I support. This is what I promote. Because when you push against what you don't want, you practice that vibration. And then law of attraction brings Monsanto's to give you what you're asking for.
It's not fair when this is something that really
Well, if we were talking about things you don't care about, you wouldn't have launched these rockets of desire. If you were talking about something that you don't care about, you wouldn't have just enlisted the non-physical energy that creates worlds to support you. In other words, this conversation has left this in a place that it never has been before. The universe has expanded as a result of this conversation. You cannot find a solution if you don't poke around a little bit at the problem. Just don't get carried away in the poking around at the problem, because you cannot find a solution while you poke at the problem. The blaming, no matter how right you are, does not lead you to the solution, you see. And have you ever had an argument with someone? You know you're right, you tell them what you think, and don't they just come on stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger? It's like you pour gasoline on their fire.